Hello and welcome to the last day, the day 5 of P7 Practice to Pass session for June 2018 examination being organized by ACCA Pakistan. I am Kashif Kamran, your tutor. Now, over the last 4 days, we have practiced on risk, evidence, ethics, as well as reporting yesterday. Now, today being the last day, all of you have an opportunity of asking questions, which I will be promptly answering. So if you have any questions pertaining to P7 June 2018 exams, you have any questions relating to exam techniques, any questions relating to time management, any questions relating to what question should I attempt, in which order should I attempt the question. There might be so many questions which might be popping in your mind about P7, particularly if you are appearing for first attempt, or even you're repeating P7 and you have been flunking this paper since last many sessions. This is your day today. You have an opportunity of raising questions as much as possible so that you stand with a clear mindset at the end of the session. So let's see who starts the question and answer session, who breaks the ice, and who puts the first question. Now, in between the time you're putting the questions, let's start discussing some basic fundamentals about attempting the 100 marks paper. I'll be discussing that along with your question and answer session. So as I get questions on my screen, I'll keep responding to them. Okay, the first question coming from Himraj. He's asking, I would like to know the order to answer the questions. Himraj, the order should be the way the paper has been structured. I prefer section A should be done first, followed by section B. In section B, you can think about which question you should do first and which question you should do after. But at least for section A, try to maintain the order 1 and 2. There's a question coming from Ali Raza asking, sir, please share standard summaries. Ali, for such queries, please post things on the WhatsApp group. David is asking a question. What is the cause of failed marks 43, 47? David, I think in the exam hall, you are lacking the application, because that's the most common reason why you fail in late 40s. There might be one question which you are underperforming. There might be a reason that you are underperforming the section B, because normally I believe student comes late into section B, and when they come late into section B, they are into a panic state. So normally they compromise the quality of the section B, and generally results into failures into like 43, 47, 49. You need to improve your quality of the section B in order to have higher chances of success in June 2018 examination. There's a question from Amina. She's asking, sir, high probable topics for June 2018 exams. Amina, this is too early for that. I normally disclose high probable topics for June 2018 exams. I'll be posting that on my Facebook as well, and on the WhatsApp group as well. But you have to wait for at least the second week of May. So I'll be posting the high probable topics. Currently, it's too early. Okay, then there is another question coming from Abdullah. He's asking, is it a good idea to write P2 and P7 in June? I have not yet started studying for P7. Is the time available enough? Abdullah, depends upon your caliber as a student. Because I believe if you are a very calibered student and you have been into such situations before even, and then you are all capable of doing that. But on an honest note, considering the time left, now studying for the 2 papers seems very difficult. So might be you are investing your time, you're investing your resources, and at the end of the day, you pass one paper and you flunk the other. So I suggest, if you have to bargain between P2 and P7, then go for P2 in June and go for P7 in September. P2 would really help you for your P7 September exams. Okay, there is another question coming from Taj. Sir, this was my second attempt on self-study and I got 44. I would like, where would I be lacking? Taj, obviously, if you are coming down with these 44 marks, again, the problem is that we are not balancing our 100 marks paper. We are underperforming somewhere. Again, something which I have been emphasizing from day 1 to day 4, that either we are writing more when the marks are less, or we are writing less when marks are more. Particularly, this equation is very risky, writing less when marks are more. So I believe if you're not applying the marking schemes very well, there is a big risk of failing in 40s. If you are underperforming your section B, there is a big risk of failing into 40s. So normally the student starts very good with the section A, but gradually with the time pressure and with the clock ticking, they come under pressure and they start deteriorating the quality of their answers. Okay, there is another question from Farrukh. He's asking, sir, how to write conclusions in evaluation of business risk and audit risk, and what to write. Farrukh, the answers I have shared with you on the day 1 of the risk session contains the conclusion. So if you can specifically look at my answers, my draftings, you can basically see how to write in a conclusion. I'll see if I get time over the session today. And I get free from the long list of questions, I'll try drafting one for you as well, right? I've taken that, but please try seeing my answers as well. Okay, there is another question coming from Brigitte. He's asking, please, how can you differentiate between procedures and evidence? Brigitte, the difference between a procedure and an evidence is that obviously procedure starts with a verb. Procedures start with an action. Review the board minutes. See, this is the procedure. But a copy of a board minute is the evidence. Evidence has to be something in tangible form, right? I did emphasize that, I think on day 3. Procedure means an action. So you need to say, if I say analyze the receivable days, so analyze the receivable days is a procedure, right? If I say recalculate the deferred tax, so recalculate the deferred tax is a procedure. So procedure should start with a verb, and evidence should start with something tangible. Again, I try my best if I can get 10-15 minutes and I can do a quick exercise on that, considering I solve all the questions coming on screen. Lisa is asking, I have a question regarding CAM, where we are saying is only for listed companies. That means we do not put our finding in the report for a non-listed company. Yes, exactly, Lisa. The ISA 701, which is basically the key audit matters, is an ISA for a public interest entity, is an ISA for a listed company. So in an exam paper, when you're reading the question 5, and the question 5 says ABC is a listed company, that would be your first hint that there might be a CAM in the case study. But if it says ABC is a non-listed company, you're not thinking of the CAM, because CAM is an ISA 701, which is specifically for a listed company. Okay, there is another question coming in saying, sir, I failed with 48 marks. What are the areas do you think that I should improve? Again, this has been a repetitive question. Failing in 40s. There are so many questions coming into that context that I have been failing in 40s. That is one simple equation. If you're failing in 40s, you are underperforming somewhere. I believe you're underperforming in terms of your writing skills. You're underperforming in terms of not knowing the marking schemes. You're underperforming in terms of not answering the requirement the way it should be answered. Or you might be underperforming in the section B of the paper, where most of the student gets in panic. But again, why we fail into late 40s is such a frequently asked question in P7, and it's still the frequently asked question in the session so far. I'll just keep time for that somewhere in the 2-hour session we have today, so I can properly address that. So any questions pertaining to why we fail in 40s, and why we fail in late 40s, though I'm just holding them for few minutes. Okay, there is another question. Sir, please tell the key topics for June 18. I mentioned that the key topics for June 18 will be published around the 10th of May. So please wait for that. Keep following my Facebook for that. Muhammad Nabil is asking a question. Sir, is there any problem if I did not write A and B and I write every part of section A together in a single flow without segregating the section? Honestly, no. That is simply like you didn't segregate that. Segregation is good. Segregation is good for the assessor to pick that which part you are doing, but I don't think so. The assessor would penalize you harshly for that. But please ensure, try to maintain that. Try to maintain that as a better piece of advice. Do the segregations. Sana is asking a question, sir. How much auditing standard numbers and name matters in paper? Sana, is the content very important, right? I should know that I should know the content of the standard. I should know that the provision should be recognized when there is a probable outflow and a reliable estimate can be made. I should not know IS 37 to write. I should know that a provision should be recognized when there is a probable outflow. So it's like quoting the content very important rather than quoting the reference number. If you can spontaneously put the reference number, then that's good. If you can spontaneously put the reference number, then that's good, Sana. Otherwise than that, just skip it. Okay, Mr. Saad is asking a question. Assalamu alaikum. It's my second attempt, but I'm unable to find out what loopholes are there. Why couldn't I pass? Again, Saad, I'm holding that question because that I believe is the most frequently asked question. Why you fail in 40? So skipping that, I'll come back to it. Ali Raza, sir, is it important to pass two compulsory questions? Ali, yes, the first two questions plays a crucial part. Your section A is very important, but you cannot just believe that the section A will give you your 50 marks. But yes, section A do play a crucial part. You should spend the time on section A, which is the logical time, not overtime. It's not like you start your paper and you end the paper with section A. So section A has a time. I'll illustrate that, Ali Raza. But section A has a specific time. So within that specific time, the best you can do is good enough. Okay, Saima Mazhar is asking a question, sir. I attempted a 95 marks paper, still couldn't pass, and you were aware of how I used to write out my answers. Where was it could had gone wrong? Saima, exactly. I'm aware of your writing style, but of few topics, of few questions. Again, if you can like submit me an answer, a physical answer coming down to the institute where I teach, would be very preferable. So at least I know where are you lacking exactly. So I'll prefer if you can solve a full 100 marks paper and submit a full 100 marks paper to me for scrutiny. That's only for Saima Mazhar, right? So if you can do that. Amit Kumar, standard reference is necessary. Amit, not. Standard reference is not necessary. Wherever you can do them, do it. Wherever you cannot, forget about them. Okay, how about other topics like money laundering, due diligence, which not discussed in the webinar? Exactly, due diligence and money launderings, they are part of your syllabus, right? So you should emphasize on them. You should emphasize on them because obviously we had limitation of time, so we could not discuss each and every topic. Due diligence, you can access my webinar for March 18 exams. In that I did the other assignments. So in other assignments, you can get the due diligence. Okay, Himraj, at times with the exam pressure, we may not be able to think of points to write from the scenario. Any tips? Himraj, obviously, you have to cope up with pressure. Try to do your best. Suppose if a question is of 20 marks and you have 40 minutes, try to do your best in 40 minutes. Try to do your best in 40 minutes, right? That's a simple scenario. It's humanly impossible, right, to pick everything in the exam pressure, but try to pick the best points. Try to pick the points which can give you a score rather than just stucking in a point which is giving you nothing. Okay, Farooq is asking a question. So there is a perception that if you fail the reporting question, you may fail the paper too. Again, Farooq, these are all myths, right? I don't believe in such myths, right? Not at all. Lisa, are public entities also part of the listed companies? Yes, the public entities, right? Public interest entities, right? So public entities would be part of that definition of CAM. Sharon, sir, if I answer questions in bullets form and write two answers in that one sentence, will I get marks? Sharon, there are few things in P7 which can be written in bullets, not all the paper. Procedures can be written in bullets. Actions can be written in bullets. Evidence in the working paper file can be written in bullets. So there are few things. Additional information is something you can write in bullets. So there are many things which can be written in bullets, but not the complete paper. Okay, Ali Raza, I didn't attend your first two classes. I need question and answers of the first 2 days. Okay, I think that's something the ACC can address, can put the resources to you for the first 2 days. How about other topics which are not discussed in the webinar? Again, this webinar was more practice oriented. So if you are more concerned about topics, you can access my March 18 webinar, which is available on the ACCA channel on Vimeo, and that can be a real benefit for you. Rohit, please advise to do questions for exams practice since time for study is limited. Okay, Rohit, I try my best to give you some key questions to practice. Wait for that. Janet is asking, what can we expect the main current issue to focus on? Janet, you are not worried about current issues, because whenever there is a current issue, the examiner do write an article on it. And when an article is published, then only the current issue becomes important, right? So just wait for it. So far, examiner has not written any article for June exams pertaining to current issues. Okay, scoring 40s and failings, I'm just skipping those questions. Sir, how many past paper questions should I practice? Preferably, you should practice in the inverse order. You should practice 2017 exams, 2016 exams, 2015 exams. If you're preparing yourself good for 2018, I'll prefer you attempt 2015 sessions, 2016 sessions, and 2017 sessions as an effective preparation. Okay, Imraj, your question seems to be like a story. Your question is as long as a case study in an exam paper. It needs time to read your questions. It's a pretty long question, Imraj. Seems to be like a case study. Okay, let me read it after 2 minutes. Sana is asking a question. So sometime examiner asks specific procedures like capital expenditure, payroll, or tax. How to tackle this type of question? Sana, the answer is in the case. When you look at the capital expenditure or when you look at the tax, examiner will give you some thinking points in the case study, right? So preferably, examiner gives you some links within the case study, right, for you to solve. To write those procedures, right? Sir, can make heading numbers risk and ethics questions? Yes, again, making headings is a presentational issue, Mohammed Abdi. Headings improves your presentation, right? So there is nothing limiting headings. If you want to use headings in exam paper. Sir, is it advisable to attempt section B first? No, not at all. Sir, I always find difficult to identify further or additional information in the question. Could you explain me how to direct them in a scenario? Okay, I'll try my best to put an exercise on that in the session today. Zishan, if you need the third day resources, again, I think ACCA Pakistan would help you out with that. These are all questions pertaining to resources, which I cannot handle currently. Himraj, you have a big question. Can you just email me that question, Himraj? Because that's a pretty big question, right? Or at least I'll read your question in the prayer breaks, which comes at 7 p.m. and I'll respond to your question post prayer break, right? Is that good enough, Himraj? Okay, Brigitte is asking another question. Sir, I always find difficult additional information. Okay, I've answered that question. Zishan Hassan, I've answered that question. Kesa Fayaz, sir, please need the file on the screen along with the word file of the 4th day recording. Kesa, I did put the word file yesterday on the WhatsApp group. I hope you are on the WhatsApp group because I put the word file till yesterday on the WhatsApp group. Rida, how to make starting 15 minutes most effective in exams, and please guide on decommissioning provision. Okay, Rida, if you need some guidance on the decommissioning provision, email me for that. because I can then guide you specifically what you can do on decommissioning provision. But how to utilize the first 15 minutes, I'll tell you exactly what to be done on that. Okay, then which articles should we read for June attempt? That is another question. At least for that, which articles you should read for June attempt? Let me take you to this ACCA website. If you can see this ACCA website where you have the P7 resources on your screens, there are three very important articles which I would recommend all of you to read for your exams in June 18. Can you see the first three articles, which are Exam Techniques for Ethics Part 1, Exam Techniques for Risk Part 2, and Exam Techniques for Accounting Issues Part 3. I'll prefer everyone to read the first three articles because they're so good articles in terms of developing your mindset on how to answer an ethics question, how to answer a risk question, and how to answer an accounting issue question. So these three articles, right, are must. Please do read them. Okay, so what is the best practice, the BPP kit or the past paper? Depends upon you as a student. If you ask my advice, I'll prefer past papers. I never prefer kits. Okay. So is it necessary to do all questions in the kit? No. Muhammad Nabil, focus on 2017, 2016, 2015. These are like 6 exam sittings. So even if you do these 6 exam sittings with like every exam sitting have 5 questions, so there will be good 30 questions. Good 30 questions to practice for your June 2018 exams. Okay, Masood Khan, sir, will you share other documents of P7 like answers of home assignments, summaries of IES, notes, etc.? Masood, I'm not committing that because if I do so, then everyone will be after me and asking me, I have to share. But I try my best. If I can put some resources on the WhatsApp group, but I'm not promising, I'm not committing, but I try my best to do so. Okay, sir, please explain a bit about the procedures on PFI. Okay, again, procedures on PFI was covered in my March 18 webinar, so you can access the March 18 webinar for procedures on PFI. Other assignments of March sessions is important. For knowledge sake, you can listen to the webinar for March 18, but probabilities change, right, Amit? So I'll be probabilizing which other assignment looks important for June 18 exams. So wait for the probability, Amit Kumar, to see what is likely in other assignments. Okay, Himraj. Okay, that's fine. So thanks for accepting, Himraj. Your question was a pretty long question, right? Thanks that you agreed to that. Okay. What is your number for WhatsApp group? Again, I hope ACCA can share that with you. Another question, sir, how do I join the WhatsApp group? Again, these are all technical all questions relating to not relating to topic. In short, if material error not identified in last year in financial statement and detected by the auditor in the current year, rectified by the management, how will it affect the audit report? Himraj, again, can you post this to me at my email ID, kashifkamran@gmail.com? I think there was another question on decommissioning provision as well, right? Questions where you need to ask a specific answer to an illustration, please put them on my email, kashifkamran@gmail.com. So I try my best to respond to your emails within a span of a week. Rita is asking, sir, where do we use aggregate materiality? Please clear areas where we have to mention this. Rita, only we do aggregation in a reporting question, right? In a question 5. A question we were doing yesterday in the class, the toy company. There was a misstatement in a toy company, which was a provision. And if you go to the second part of the same question yesterday, there was bad debts. The bad debts were not recorded. So there was one misstatement. There was a second misstatement pertaining to the same company. So I'll do the aggregation in the question yesterday, right? I'll plus A plus B because the misstatement relates to the same group. So aggregations are done only in the reporting question, right? Not anywhere else. Not anywhere else in the paper. So Himraj, you will email me your question, right, relating to the misstatements in the last year detected this year. And okay, I hope I've answered most of the questions that appeared so quickly on the panel in the last 20 minutes or so. Okay, now let me solve some questions which were pertaining to why we fail. Okay, let me take my time for 10 minutes. If you can just hold your questions for 10 minutes, let me do one exercise with you, which could be of benefit. Okay, I think one of the frequently asked question which I just saw is why we fail in 40s. So I have to clarify that. Second, there was another frequently asked question, which was something between procedures and evidence and additional information. A lot of students had issues with that. Okay, and then there was another frequently asked question, is that how to plan your 3 hours and 15 minutes. 3 hours and 15 minutes in the exam hall. Is there a better technique to make utilization of 3 hours and 15 minutes? Okay, let me do one exercise with you, right? First of all, because there were some questions from student and I think I have time to do so, so I'm just utilizing it. Suppose I do an exercise with you and I make 3 columns. I write additional information in one column. I write procedures in the second column, and I write evidence in the third column, evidence in working paper file. Now you all know that these 3 requirements comes in exam paper, right? Very repetitively. Okay, Janet is asking a question. Will I be penalized for stating a wrong accounting standard? There are no negative markings, right, Janet? You would not be penalized. Obviously, you will not get marks if you state a wrong accounting standard. But sorry, the explanation is correct. No. You will get marks for it, Janet. You will get marks for it. You just quoted the wrong reference. You quoted IS 38, for example, and you were writing provisions. So if the question relates with provision and your treatment of provision was right, you will be rewarded marks for that. But please refrain from quoting the wrong references. Okay, Wakas, I was missing you in the session today, right? Because there were so many questions coming in since the session started, and there was no question from you because you have been so regular feature of the last 4 days. Okay, I'll try telling you how to utilize your 3 hours and how to get over the 100 marks. How can you build up your speed and pace? So give me 5 minutes for that, Wakas, right? No, Rizwan. Examiner quote the ISA and IAS in the answer for the knowledge sake, right? So you quoting the ISA or IAS does not carry marks. It's the content. It's the content which carries the marks. Can I do the working at the end of the answer sheet, or where should I do the working of answer planning? Yes, Abdullah, you can do the rough workings at the end of the answer sheet. You can keep 2 to 3 pages of the answer sheet at the end for your rough workings and plannings. That is very good. That is very good, and you are encouraged to do that. Okay, now let me do one thing. Additional information, procedure, and evidence. If you just can hold your question answer session for 5 minutes, I'm doing an exercise. Concentrate on that because this was a very frequently asked question so far. See, when I write an additional information, the additional information is something in a tangible form because the emphasis is on tangible form because the emphasis is on the information. Information means something in documentary form. Information. It's not explanation, right? It's information. So information means tangible. I made clear on the day 3, evidence. Evidence means something in the tangible form. Procedure means something which needs to start with an action verb. Now, having said that, when I say information, so I'll say board minutes, board minutes to confirm the rationale of acquisition. Board minutes to confirm the rationale of acquisition. See, I started the additional information with the tangible form, board minutes, information. If I'm writing a procedure of the same thing, I'll say review the board minutes. If I convert this into a procedure, I'll say review the board minutes to confirm the basis of acquisition or rationale of acquisition. And if I'm converting that to my evidence, I'll say copy of the board minutes to confirm the basis of. So if the examiner asks you write evidence, that's written differently. If the examiner asks you write procedure, that's written differently. If the examiner asks you write information, the information is written differently. Okay, Farooq is asking a question. Sir, in the review of the working paper, comment on the matters you should consider and state the evidence. Evidence are easy, but what are matters to consider? Farooq, you were not there in the day 3. I made that clear. The matters are MTR, materiality, treatment, and risk, and every matter carries 1 mark. Is that clear, Farooq? Abdullah, can I do? Okay, Abdullah, I've answered your question. Again, I'm just repeating it. Okay, is everyone becoming clear with this additional information procedure? Let me do one more exercise. Suppose I say tangible form. The tangible form is the fixed asset register. Fixed asset register is the information I need from the management. When I go to the audit, I need information from the management, right? So the fixed asset register is the information. Fixed asset register to confirm the cost and the net book value of the assets. Now, if I get the fixed asset register, I'll make a procedure on it. Review the fixed asset register. And in the last column, I'll say copy of fixed asset register. Copy or extracts of fixed asset register. Copy or extracts of fixed asset register. Another example. So see the emphasize information. When the examiner says additional information, the additional information has to be in tangible form. Let me illustrate this way. Suppose the examiner asks you, recommend the additional information. Recommend the additional information, which normally comes in the question 1 normally, and mostly contains 5 marks. Mostly contain 5 marks. Now, this additional information has to be in a tangible form, right? Firstly, the information has to be in the form of tangible, and the information has to come from the case. The information pertains to the case study, so it has to be case specific. It has to be case specific, right? Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. If I take you to an exam paper we did on the first day, which was basically the June 13 exam paper. I think this illustration will make you better. See this question we did on the first day, risk. Can you see in this question the examiner asking you to write additional information? Let me show you where that is. Basically, this is a question 1, right, of the June 13 exams. See this additional information that would be relevant. So additional information has to come from the case, right? Additional information has to come from the case. Now, if I read this case, I have to find 5 additional informations. See, how will I find it? I'll go down and I'll see the note number 1. The note number 1 says cost of sales includes $250,000 relating to a provision for fine payable. The advertising regulatory authority has issued a notice. So will I be needing this notice from the company to confirm the amount of fine payable? So is notice the information I will be needing from the company when I go to the audit? Everyone agrees with that? If you're watching this on your screens. So if I'm reading this question June 13 and I'm reading the advertising regulatory authority has issued a notice. So this notice will become an additional information for me, right? So I'll go back to my Word file and I'll say number 1, notice from the regulatory authorities. See, I started with a tangible form, regulatory authority. Notice from the regulatory authority to confirm the amount of fine payable. To confirm the amount of fine payable, right? Second, and notice from the regulatory authority, right? To confirm the amount of fine payable. Going back, page 2. Okay. The development cost relates to new range of organic cosmetics. The development cost relates to new range of organic cosmetics. I'll be thinking, if I'm an auditor and I go to a company, what sort of information will I be needing for the development cost? The company has incurred a development cost. Okay. So if the company has incurred a development cost for a new range of organic cosmetic, I'll be needing information like the feasibility report pertaining to the new range of organic cosmetics, uh, new range of organic cosmetic. I might be needing the sales forecast to confirm the confirm the commercial viability of the organic cosmetic. So if the company is developing a new cosmetic, which they will sell in future, so I'll be more interested in knowing the sales forecast of this new range of organic cosmetics. What's the commercial viability? I might be looking at the feasibility report. That was it feasible to make it? So see where the information is coming from. Market research, agree, market research. But I hope you're picking the sense. The information is in the case. I'm reading the case and finding the information. If I go back, one last thing. All of the properties were revalued. It's a pretty simple thing. Okay, I'll be needing the revaluation report. Revaluation report of an expert to confirm the assumptions taken. And you continue. But see how am I starting the information? I'm starting the information from tangible, notice, feasibility report, sales forecast, revaluation report. Can you see that emphasize? Yes, Bakas, I'm just saving my time, right? You have to tell it. But I hope you're getting the sense of information. Information is tangible. If I convert the same into procedures, it will look different, right? If I convert the same into procedures, they will look very different. I'll say review the notice. See, I added a verb. Then I'll say review the feasibility report. Then I'll say something like when the same list continues. Okay, let me bring it on the same page so you can have you can take a common sense of this. right? So if I'm making an information, I start with the information, right? But if I'm making a procedure, see, I'm making the same list now, but I'm making them into procedures. Review the sales forecast, right? Review the revaluation report. See, now what's the emphasize? The emphasize is the verb. Can all of you feel the difference? When I was writing the information, I was focusing on the information which has been highlighted in yellow. But when I'm writing a procedure, I'm emphasizing on something in green or blue, which is verb, review. Is everyone picking that sense? Particularly those who had this question, and particularly those who are appearing for the first time of P7. Are you picking the sense of procedure and information? Attendees, are you there? Can you please respond to yes and no? Okay. And if I make the same list, if I make the same list into evidence, and if I make the same list into evidence, what will I do? If I make the same list into evidence, then what should I be doing? If I write the same list into evidence, I'll say copy of the notice, copy of the feasibility report or extracts of the feasibility report, copy of the sales forecast, and copy of the revaluation report. See, all three are now in front of you. The moment I wrote evidence, my emphasis was on copy. I hope you are getting a track of this. Primarily today is a question and answer session, but at least I try making this for you because a lot of students asked me this question. They had no clarity on additional information. But please remember, additional information has to come from the case. You have to involve in case finding it out. The more you involve, the better. Yes, yes, yes. I'll be sharing this Word file again at the end of the session today. Don't be worried about that. All I am doing is for you, right? So whatever resources I'm using today in the webinar will be shared with you, right? These are for you. These are for you. Yes, exactly. Okay, let's do another exercise. Now, if I look at this list, which I'll email you, sorry, I'll put it on the WhatsApp group. Okay, let me do one more frequently asked question. Please remember one thing. There are many things in P7, right? There are many things in P7 which can be done in bullets and can save your time, and normally student waste time writing them in paragraphs. Now, what can be written in bullets? Number one, procedures. Sorry, number one, additional information. Number two, procedures. Number three, evidence in working paper file. Actions. These are things in P7 which can be put into like 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5 bullets, saves your time, right? And the good thing is all of them carries one mark. So the marking scheme is also the same, right? Additional information is 1 mark, procedure is 1 mark, evidence and working paper file is 1 mark, action is 1 mark. So they all carry 1 mark and they can all be written down into bullets. Can save so much of your time in exam paper, right? Secondly, another very common mistake the student do is that most of the time when a student is writing additional information, or when a student is writing a procedure, or when a student is writing an evidence or an action, the student fail to identify why. Why means, why are you doing it? Or why are you taking this information? Or why are you taking this action? Please, the why is very important. You need to put the why. So if you say review the board minutes, why? If you say copy of the board minutes, why? If you say discuss with management, why? The why is very important, right? That is for all. That is for information, procedures, evidence, and actions, right? Yeah, bullet means one-liners, right? But the one-liner means not like review the board minute full stop. Review the board minutes to confirm something, like a proper sentence, right? The sentence can go from 1 line to 1.5 line or 2 lines, but it has to be like a form of a sentence. Okay, another common mistake students do in P7. That in a question on ethical issues, they will write, in the question on ethical issues, students identify the ethical problem but fail to justify why it is a problem. So again, the justification is very important. So it's not like saying it is a self-review threat. It's like saying why it is a self-review threat. The same happens with quality control issues. In a question on quality control issue, in a question on quality control issue, students simply says this compromise the quality. Student simply says this compromise the quality. That is a very generic conclusion. You should specify what must had been the implication. For example, it says manager was away on holidays. Manager was away on holidays, and a student starts writing saying because he was away on holidays must have compromised the quality of audit. Must have compromised the quality of audit. This is a weak answer. The good answer would be because he was away on holidays must have compromised the quality. I would say because there was no supervision during the audit, as the manager was away on holidays. This must have resulted in gathering insufficient must have resulted in gathering insufficient and inappropriate audit evidence, and must have resulted in ignorance of key aspects of audit, which must had compromised the quality. See the one I highlighted in the red. Because he was on holiday, must have compromised the quality. Writing that cannot give you 1.5 marks. But because there was no supervision, see the reasoning, no supervision during the audit, it must have resulted into this and this and this. See the lengthy statement. Are you getting some sense of this? Yeah, why is always a problem, Vikas, right? So emphasize on the why. Why is another reason why a student fails in 40s, late 40s. A lot of times student don't justify the why. So why is very important, because your scoring depends upon the justifications, the rationales, the basis. And don't be generic, right? Be as specific as possible. Okay, so there's a question asking, how do I practice past paper questions? When I practice, I am only able to write very short answers. Should I practice the same past papers for past years set for more than 2 times? Yes, you should practice more past papers then if you have that problem, because the more you practice, you will become clear in terms of how much to write. And at least practice the last 4 years. At least practice the last 4 years for a better practice. Yes, the technical articles available on ACCA website are enough and a good source of knowledge. So if you're reading the technical articles, that's a very good source of knowledge. Yes, Sana, it would be enough. It would be enough. Yes, Vakas. Yes, Vakas, that's fine. You can do that. You can do that. That's perfect. Okay, so is that clear with the quality control? Okay, another problem which the student tends to do in P7 and gets failed down into late 40s. You need to remember that in the case of P7, that when you are writing your answers, you need to have a case absorb. Your answers have to be very specific to the case, because I've seen so many students, when they tend to write in answers, they write so generic stuff. Remember, generic stuff will give you nothing. Copy pasting the case or copy pasting the books or direct knowledge will give you less than 50. It's it has to be case specific. It has to be case specific. Linking the case, adapting your answer to case, adapting your answer to case, uh, finding things from the case, finding the things from case, and justifying them. So absorption of the case. Let me illustrate you one thing, right? For a better understanding, if I take you to one past paper just to demonstrate what I'm trying to say. Okay, look at this question in front of you. This is the June 2013 question number 3. June 2013 question number 3. Just want to tell you how specific you can be in exam paper. So I'm just illustrating another question for you. Question 3 from June 2013 exams. And I'm looking at the last para of this, which is about the distribution license. The distribution license carries 5 marks. Distribution license carries 5 marks. And see the requirement we did on the day 3. It says comment on the matters and the evidence. And the evidence you should expect to find in the file. Now, see, I have 5 minutes, so that means I have approximately 8 minutes to write the answer. If I can just do an exercise with you in 8 minutes, just to show you, see how you can write an answer. Can you all read the distribution license for like within a minute? The 3 lines, C part. Be quick, be quick. Read the 3 lines distribution license quickly. Let's do a good illustration on matters and evidence in the working paper file. Be quick, be quick. Read it quickly. I'm trying to bring practice more into it. Yes, it has been part of the P7 exam since March. The IFRS 17. IFRS 17 is part of the P7 syllabus. There are very few straight marks available, right, in P7. If you do past papers, in like 4 or 5 past papers, you might find 1, 2 questions of like 5, 6 marks, which directly test your knowledge. But again, direct testings of knowledge are not P7 part, right? Examiner asks you something directly. For example, once in a blue moon, the examiner asked a question, explain the stages of money laundering. And that's a pretty straightforward question. That the 3 stages of money laundering are placement, layering, and integration. But don't expect direct marks in a 100 marks paper. P7 paper is all application. The question 1 is risk. The question 5 is reporting. There are questions on evidence. There are questions on ethical and professional issues. Yes, but if you read the technical articles, you will get a lot of knowledge. And the technical articles knowledge is far, far better than the books. Right? Just 5 minutes, Sana. I'm doing this question currently because after the namaz break, there's a long list of questions I still need to solve coming from the attendees. Okay, all of you have read the distribution license? Okay, comment on the matters and explain the evidence you should expect to find in the file. See how quickly I'll go down with it. The distribution license is recognized as intangible at a $15 million. So I'll go up and see $15 million. How much is the total assets of the company? The total assets of this company is 300 million. Okay, that's good enough. 300 million. Okay, 300 million, I go back down. 15 million. 15 divided by 300 million is how much? Percentage, quickly. Tell me the percentage quickly. June 2013, question 3, part C. Give me the answer quickly so I can write it down. Distribution license. The license recognized as intangible asset at $15 million is 5%. Okay, is 5% of the total assets, thus material to financial statements. See, quick. Then M followed by T. The license should be recognized The license should be recognized as an intangible asset and should be amortized over its useful life. So I wrote the tree. The risk. The risk is the license gift, which cost of distribution license acquired on the 1st of September. The license gift setter store exclusive rights to distribute 5-year period. So there is nothing about amortization given, right? So how will I find risk? I'll think about negative. If the license is not amortized, it will understate expenses and overstate intangible assets. See, I just wrote an MTR paragraph quickly. I'm just going to the namaz break, right? Just 5 minutes. Those of you who are asking for the namaz break, just 5 minutes, right? The license recognized as an intangible asset is 5% of the total assets. That's material to the financial statement. The license should be recognized as an intangible asset and should be amortized over its useful life. If the license is not amortized, because it's nothing given in the case, it will understate expense and overstate the tangible assets. See, till this point, I'm getting my 3 marks out of the 5 quickly. These are so time efficient questions in exam paper. If you can just keep them specific to the case. I want to criticize you. How can you make the same answer lengthy? How can you exaggerate the same answer? And see how many lines I wrote for 3 marks, MTR. And after the namaz break, I'll write it exactly the way a student writes it. And see, the answer will become so lengthy and you will believe, why am I writing so unnecessary stuff? Right? Is everyone clear so far? Okay, we're taking the namaz break then. After 10 minutes, we'll resume. I'll hope if you have any other questions, you will keep posting your questions post namaz break. And I hope the questions you had so far has been effectively resolved. Okay, 10 minutes break, right? And we're resuming in 10 minutes. Okay, welcome back from the break. We were discussing equation on distribution license, and I just tried writing a quick, crisp answer for 3 marks. But now let me portray how student keeps dragging time. When a student gets to exam hall and he thinks he has plenty of time, and he forgets that he has 3 hours and 100 marks to gain, and he likes one thing and he start writing on it. For example, I use the blue ink. I'll use the red. The license recognized as an intangible asset at a $15 million is 5% of the total assets, thus material to financial statement. Now, a lot of students were asking me, should I quote the reference of IAS? Should I quote the reference of IFRS 18? See, I didn't quote it that. But even if you quote, see what a student will do with it. Student will say, as per IAS 38, comma, intangible assets, comma, the license should be recognized as an intangible asset because the license because the cost of the license can be measured reliably and future economic benefit will flow to the company, right? The company has got an exclusive license, right, to distribute the soft drinks. So the future economic benefit will flow to the company, full stop. Then a student thinks there are two types of intangible assets, one with finite life and one with infinite life. Now the examiner is telling you the license has 5 years useful life, right? There are two types of intangible asset, one with finite life, one with infinite life. Then he starts writing, if has finite life, it should be amortized over its life, and if have infinite life, it should be reviewed for impairment once every year. Then he says, see how much content I wrote in red and how much content I wrote in blue. The blue was that it's 5%. The license should be recognized as an intangible asset and should be amortized because it has 5-year useful life. If the license is not amortized, it will understate expense and overstate intangible asset. And the thing I wrote in red was I kept writing generic IS 38. I talked about finite life, I talked about infinite life, and that was not required. I talked about intangible asset can only be recorded when it has a reliable cost, when it was given that the license has a cost of $15 million. If I keep writing generic accounting standard, I'm just trying to satisfy myself rather than satisfying assessor to give me marks. And the bad thing is when I keep writing generic accounting standard, I might be very impressive. I might be very impressed that I'm writing pages and pages and pages and pages. But what those pages are giving you? Are they giving you marks? Or they're just giving you a satisfaction that you're filling the papers, filling the papers, filling the papers. Obviously, you cannot pass P7 paper by just keep filling the paper, and come out of the examination hall saying, I filled 20 papers. No, what you filled on them is very important. Have you filled something logical on those papers? Have you put some logical stuff on those papers? Have you put something specific on those papers? And see how much time are you wasting? This, which itself is very critical in P7. I hope you're getting some sense of that red and blue drafting. Okay, now something which is more valuable, rather than doing something in red, I come back with blue. See, something which I can tell examiner more impressively. The license should be recorded as an intangible asset and should be amortized over its useful life. If the license is not amortized, it will understate expense and overstate intangible asset. Now, I go back and I just told you we have to be case specific, right? When we acquired the license, we acquired the license in September 2012 for 5 years. Now, what is the year end of the company? The year end of the company is 31st of Jan is the year end of the company, right? Right? And the profit of the company is $47.5 million. Now, for how much time should I recognize the amortization if I have to make an impressive answer rather than writing all that in red? My point was, write a case specific answer. The case specific answer is that we acquired this license in September 12. So September, October, November, December, January. For how much time I should amortize it? For this year, 5 months. 5 months. What's the total duration of the license? 60 months, 5 years. So can anyone recalculate the amortization expense? Can anyone recalculate the amortization expense? 15 million multiplied by 5 divided by 60. 1.25 million, right? 1.25 million is the amortization expense. Now, if I show that to examiner, is that something specific to the case? Everyone agrees to that? If I show that 1.25 working to examiner, is that something specific to case rather than writing all the journal IES 38? So what is more valuable? All of you present here, please respond to me very effectively. Is writing IES 38 in journal important, or is this 1.25 million more important? Which is more case specific, 1.25 million or the IES 38? Are you getting my point? That we have to be case specific? And I'm addressing the repeaters. How many times have you done so in your past attempts? You have been failing so much. But have you ever realized how generic you write in P7? I hope you're getting my words and you will implement my words in the exam paper in June. See, after the full stop, what will I write? The amortization for this year, the amortization for 2013, sorry, the amortization expense for 2013 should be $1.25 million. Should be $1.25 million, and in the bracket I show the working, that is $15 multiplied by 5 divided by 60, bracket close. So I tell examiner this is how I got it. The amortization expense for 2013 should be $1.25 million, which, if not recorded, will overstate profit. Is that something very valuable I've done in the last 1.5 lines? So see, the blue is the specific answer. The red is just optimism. The red is just an optimism which is just giving you nothing. Okay, Bridget is asking, can the full stop and not end one point and the next point begin in a new paragraph? That's simply presentation, right? You can do it yourself, right? I'm just writing an MTR in one paragraph. I'll only change the paragraph when I'm writing the evidence. Now, see how many points I got from there. Now I have to write evidence in the working paper file. See how simple that is, evidence in working paper file. I just have 2 marks for it. The company acquired a license and they paid $15 million. So I should have a copy of the bank statement or copy of the board minutes for the rationale behind the license acquired. Then I can have a copy of the bank statement, to confirm the payment of $15 million, to confirm the payment of $15 million. Then I can have results. I hope you remember my day 3, results of recalculation, which you just did. Results of recalculation of amortization expense. Results of recalculation of amortization expense. That is $1.25 million. Right? I can have the copy of the board minutes for that. That's exactly for this point, $15 million. Then which is the license? Okay, it sells the license, the copy of the license. The copy of the license should have been my first point. Copy of the license to confirm its life, and to confirm it has an exclusive rights. Are you getting some sense of this exercise? Yes, Joe Kong, agree, you can do so. Amina Osman, yes, agree, you can do so. So are you getting your problems? Are you getting some sense of your problems? So be specific, right? I'm going off this. Let's do one final exercise now on be specific. Now across the P7 paper, when you have your 100 marks to gain, right now, please listen to this very carefully as we are moving towards the last half an hour, and this is very crucial time now. When you're preparing yourself for June 2018 exams and you have 100 marks, and your first priority is to surpass 50 plus. Let's see, how can we be closer to that? Now, one of the key challenge is that we have 4 questions to be attempted in 3 hours when we are preparing for the June 2018 exams, right? Because in the September 18 exams, there will be 3 questions and all 3 will become compulsory. But because most of you are preparing for June 18 exams, you still have a challenge, 4 questions to be attempted in 3 hours. Now, exactly what you should do. Firstly, when you get to the exam hall, I'm using the Pakistan Standard Times. In Pakistan, the paper starts at 2 p.m. Right, 2 p.m. the PST, the Pakistan Standard Time, so you can change the time zones accordingly. So in Pakistan, the paper starts at 2 p.m., the Pakistan Standard Time. So if I portray that, see how things will get down to. You start at 2 p.m., right? And from 2 to 2:10, from 2 to 2:10, p.m., you should read and plan the question 1, right? 35 marks. Fine. Then start writing the question 1 from 2:10 p.m. and continue writing it for 55 minutes. Continue writing it for 55 minutes. So technically, continue writing it by 3:05 p.m. So the net time you will have for it, these times are calculated on exam pressure, right? 55 minutes, you have to write your question 1. 3:05, you will exit wherever you are, put a full stop, don't complete it, because that is my point, that not one question will give you 50 marks. Not one question will give you 100 marks. It's all 4 questions. Don't rush after completing one question. So wherever you are at 3:05, put a full stop and exit. From 3:05 to 3:15, another 10 minutes, you will read and plan the question 2. Then from 3:15, 45 minutes till then start writing the question 2 from 3:15 to 4 p.m. That is exactly 45 minutes. And then at 4, you will come in section B. Section B, you need to enter section B at 4 p.m. because the very first thing you will do at 4 p.m. is from 4 to 4:10 p.m. you will have to take a decision of choosing 2 out of 3 questions. You have 10 minutes to take a decision, right? What will you do? In the 10 minutes, you will read the requirements of each question. You will read the requirement of each question and judge with which you are more comfortable, Now, once you read the requirements of the 3 questions and you judge with which you are more comfortable, that means you have taken a choice of 2 questions now. In how much time? 10 minutes. Now from 4:10 till 4:15 p.m. you will read the first chosen question. So far you've just read the requirements, right? Now the 2 questions you have chosen, you know, okay, these are my 2 questions. So you will read the first chosen question from 4:10 to 4:15 p.m. and then you will write the first chosen question. You will write the first chosen question from 4:15 till 4:40. So that is, you have 25 minutes, right? Then you will do the same thing at 4:40 to 4:45 p.m. You will read the second chosen question and you will write the second, you will write the second chosen question from 4:45 to the end of the exam paper at 5:15 p.m. So you have 30 minutes. Now it's up to you. You have one question with 25 minutes, you have one question with 30 minutes. So it's up to you which question you do in 30, which question you do in 25. So balance yourself and you end here. Now see how much time I have put on reading and planning. How much time I have put across the paper on reading and planning. I first put this 10 minutes on reading and planning, right? Then I put another 10 minutes on reading and planning, 20 minutes, right? Then I went down, then I put another 10 minutes on reading and planning, 30 minutes. Then I put another 5 minutes on reading and planning, 35 minutes. Then I put another 5 minutes on reading and planning, 40 minutes. I put 40 minutes on reading and planning, and still I'm getting good time on writing. See, I got 55 minutes. I got 55 minutes. I got 55 minutes to write my first answer, which is very good in exam. I got 45 minutes to write my second answer. I got 25 minutes to write my third answer. And I got 30 minutes to write my fourth answer. With how much time of reading? 40 minutes. If you are a good reader, you can skim the reading time, but I'm giving you 40 minutes of reading time. If you are a good reader, you can do your 40 to 35, or you can do your 40 to 30. But remember that reading and planning will make your answer to perfection. Reading and planning will make your answer to perfection. I believe that those 40 minutes of reading and planning time will play such a crucial part in creating a common sense that exactly what is to be done. And you omit those 40 minutes and you just start writing the answer. Again, the problem would be the same, that will be writing two journal stuff rather than not linking the case. So if you want to link the case, and if you want to demonstrate you are a manager, and if you want to demonstrate your professionalism, and if you want to demonstrate that you are literally doing a P7 paper, then please ensure that those 40 minutes across the time is such an important element of your success. And still you have good time to write an answer. Okay, one more technique, right? Yes. One more thing, that in the last 10 minutes, right, of your exam, when you are in panic, the clock is ticking and you have the last 10 minutes and you have something to complete, and you think that if I write it in paragraph, I'll not be completing it. If I write it in paragraph, even I'll not complete the half of it. I'm doing this technique for the last 10 minutes, right? In the last 10 minutes, when you think I am left with so much, and if I write it in paragraph, I'll not be able to complete it. Then in the last 10 minutes, even if you can jot your points, because the examiner says for every identification, you will get half a mark. So even if you can identify the points from the case study, or you can identify the things from the case study and put them like jotting like sentences, those sentences can give you half a mark. So in the last 5 to 10 minutes, if you keep jotting points from the case study The examiner will give you half a mark for every identification. So please ensure that you are jotting the points in last 5 to 10 minutes rather than going after paragraphing. You should know how to get a stress reliever in the exam hall, because most of the time the students are stress creator. They create stress for themselves rather than creating stress relieving for themselves. So you need to find ways of how you can relieve your stress rather than finding ways of how you create stress. I hope this plan in front of your screen will really benefit you, right, when you go to the exam hall, and this plan will really benefit you in terms of a good execution of your 100 marks paper. Okay, let me see some of the questions popping in the last few minutes. Robinson is asking, in making the plan, do we actually have to write that in our question booklet or just information for us? No, it's just your planning, right, Robinson? It's going in your mind. You're not putting it on your answer. Uh, Question 4 is always on ethics. Not necessarily. Most of the time it is, but in the last few attempts, the examiner has been very unpredictable. So ethics is a very mainstay of P7 paper, but exactly finding it in question 4 is a bit difficult. Usama Sultan, question 2 normally is a question which has been very dominating on evidence. Particularly, evidence has been a very dominating question too. And in the recent past, quality control and professional issues. Quality control and professional issues have been very dominating in the question too. So if you're addressing the question two and you look at the last 5 attempts, last 5 to 6 attempts, right? The question two has been very dominating on ethical and professional and quality control issues, and also on evidence. Can you tell us the pattern of September 2018 audit exam? Abdullah, are you appearing for September 18 exams? Because in September 18 exams, all 3 questions will be compulsory. There will be one 50 marks question and two 25 marks question. But I believe all of you here are appearing for June 18 exams, right? So June 18 exams, you still have the old format where you have to do the 4 questions out of the 5 in 3 hours. I've been sharing tips. If you believe tips are the important areas, if tips are the important areas, I'll post the important areas by like the 10th of May on my Facebook. So if you regularly follow my Facebook, so please be watchful on my Facebook. Around the 10th of May, I'll put the important areas. Main areas to focus, especially in the non-audit areas. What about technical articles? Okay, let's do one last thing, right? Because that's been something you're asking me so much. So just for your benefit and to support you as much as possible, let's do this last thing. How to prepare effectively for June 2018, right? To me, if you're preparing yourself effectively for June 2018, your first priority should be practice past papers from December 2015 to December 2017. They are like December 15 is one session, then June 16, then December 16, right? So you have like five exam sittings, 5 exam sittings. Multiply by every exam sitting. 2017 has 2 exam sittings, 2016 has 2 exam sittings. So these are like 5 exam sittings, right? With 5 questions is equal to 25 questions. This should be your first priority. And when I say practice, the practice means you're writing the answer, properly writing the answer. 25 questions and recent questions. Because if you practice 2011-12, you are not preparing yourself for 2018, right? If you're practicing 2011 and 12, you're not preparing yourself for 2018 exams. If you're practicing 2015, 16, 17, you are preparing yourself for 2018 exams. Exam rigor has changed a lot in the last 3 years. For P7, exam rigor has changed a lot in the last 3 years. So please be closer rather than being far. Second, how to prepare effectively for June 2018 exams. For each key areas, that is number one, risk. When you practice the 5 exam settings, you will get 5 questions on risk, right? Because risk is the question 1, right? Default. So automatically, you will get the 5 questions on risk in the 5 exam settings. So for each key area, that is A, risk, read the recent article, on, I've shown you this article, right? This one, exam, can you see the screen? Exam techniques for advanced audit and assurance risk. This recent article. I hope you can see this on the screen, right? Exam techniques for advanced audit and assurance part 2 risk. So this article, right? Exam technique for advanced audit and assurance part 2 risk. Read the recent article on risk, which is about exam techniques. Please do read this. Then for each risky area, that is risk, read the recent article on risk. Plus there is also an article which is planning and audit of financial statements. Please do read this article as well, right? So there are 2 articles to read for risk. Secondly, for ethical and professional issues, read the recent article on ethics, which pertains to exam techniques. You can see this on the website, the recent article on exam techniques. See this one, the very first article, exam techniques for advanced audit and assurance, part 1 ethics. So read the recent article on ethics exam techniques / also read an article which is with the title of quality control, a perpetual current issue. So read these 2 articles for ethical and professional issue, right? For evidence, you have to read because evidence is more on accounting matters, right? Evidence is more on accounting matters. So read the recent article. Can you see this recent article? Part 3, part 3, accounting issues, exam techniques for advanced audit and assurance, part 3. The first 3 articles, right? All of them are coming here. Read the recent article on accounting issues, because accounting issues are very closely connected with dividends. So read the recent article on accounting issues, which is exam technique article. It will tell you how to write it down. And again, there is no article on evidence apart from that, right? Then on D, when you're attempting reporting, for reporting, you have to read the article, which is the article with the title of new audit report. And then there is an article which says, I just need to show you that article, right? You can see this article here, the new audit report. Can you see this article, new audit report? You have to read this article, the new audit report, and you have to read this article. Can you see this article, audit reporting and update for P7 student on key audit meta? An update for P7 student on key audit meta. You have to read this article. Update for P7 students on CAM. So for each key area, which is risk, ethical and professional issue, evidence and reporting, read these articles, and the 25 questions you will do, in those 25 questions, you will get plenty of questions on reporting. Obviously, technically, you will get 5 reporting questions in the last 5 settings, 5 reporting questions, and automatically you will get 5 risk questions. So involve yourself in the last 5 exam sittings and bring the best out of the last 5 exam sittings, because I think the last 5 exam sitting is the key. The last 5 exam sitting will really give you the exam rigor to prepare you for June 18 exams. And then read the recent articles. ACCA resources are so good, right? These first 3 articles here are so very important, because they really tell you how to write, how to take marks. So please do read these part 1, 2, 3 articles on your screen currently, right? So I think this should be a plan for you, how to effectively prepare for June 18 exams. What are probable areas? What can come for June 18 exams? Can we expect something unexpected in the June 18 exams? Again, that is something I am building upon, and I'll release that by the 10th of May on my Facebook. But I think I've tried telling you the effective preparation methodology. I've been very focal in the last 4 days on the marking scheme. I hope that has been my important point. Yes, the non-audit services like forensic and PFI due diligence articles, share us please. Mohammed Abdi, if you go on the website, see if you go down, there is no article on PFI, right? There is no article on PFI. There is no article on due diligence, right? There is only one article on forensic, and you can find the forensic article down here. It's a very old article, which is right here. Forensic accounting. Can you see this article in front of your screen? Forensic accounting. So that's a very old article. Apart from that, there is no article. PFI does not have any article, right? Due diligence does not have any article. And if you want to be good on other assignments, then please do watch my March 18 webinar video. I covered the other assignments in the March 18 webinar. So if you want to get a helpful insight on other assignments, then please do watch my video on other assignments I covered in the March 18 exams, which is available on the Vimeo, the ACCA Pakistan channel on Vimeo. Okay, so I hope the session we had today, the discussion we had today would have been helpful for you. What is your body language? Those of you who were in the session on Monday and are still here in the session on Friday, has your body language changed for P7? Do you believe you can do it? Has this session created a sense of motivation among you? Has this created a sense of motivation among you? Are you pumped up? Are you pumped up? Are you enthusiastic? Do you believe you can do it this time? So from Monday to Friday, I hope things must have changed for you. You must have started believing in yourself, because that is my objective here, right? I should portray motivation in you. I should impart motivation in you. Rather than building pessimistic picture, I should build optimistic picture. I believe all of you can pass, right? You simply need to find the right direction, the right path, and the right direction and right path is the last 5 exam sittings. So please ensure that you find your mistakes, you find your weaknesses, you find your issues, because till the time you don't overcome them, passing is very difficult. And passing can be very easier if you find your problems, issues, and weaknesses. So I hope this practice to pass session, the question-based revision being organized by ACCA Pakistan, must have brought some benefits to you and must have brought some motivation to you, that you stand at a good chance of getting success in June 2018 examination. A lot of students who attended the March 18 webinar for P7 had phenomenal success and phenomenal results, and the passing rate for the March 18 webinar has been so phenomenal. I believe the same will happen for the June 18 exams, that all of you will succeed in P7 exams and will bring out the best of the results. So I'm still suggesting that apart from the June 18 webinar, please also concentrate on the March 18 webinar. And the March 18 webinar would really help you build up your concepts knowledge. So if you concentrate on June and March webinar and prepare yourself for P7, you would be perfect. You would be perfectly prepared for P7, right? Still, if you have any questions and you think some of your questions have not been addressed, you still have an opportunity of emailing me. But if you email me, then please have a patience of 7 days. 7 days time to respond to you back. Within 7 days, you will get your responses. And even if you post something on the WhatsApp, please have patience on WhatsApp even, because obviously with so many students over the WhatsApp messaging me, it's humanly impossible replying everyone within the same time span. So even if you post something, have patience for that as well, right? So I wish you best of luck, all attendees. It was nice meeting you, nice interacting with you over the webinar, and it was nice looking at your questions, your interest, your skepticism throughout the session, right? So I'll be sharing this Word file with you. I drafted today, so I'll save it and put it on the WhatsApp group so you can benefit from this Word file I used today. And the other Word file I have shared with you yesterday, right? So let me do one final recap, and I'm just exiting from this. Now, this has been my selling point of this webinar. I started from here on Monday, and I'm ending here today on Friday. How to ensure you have a higher chance of success in P7. These were the 3 questions which I introduced to you on Monday. You must be a bit strange to these questions on Monday, but I hope you can get a better sense of these questions today on Friday. How much to write? This has been my emphasizable point. I have been very focal on that, how much to write. I've been very focal on the marking scheme. I have been very focal on where to take 1 mark, where to take 2 marks, where to take 1.5 mark. So I have been guiding you on the marking scheme throughout this session, right? So please ensure that you have this question address: how much to write, what to write. Again, I have been very specific on what to write. I have been very specific about generic and specific. I just illustrated that again in the session today, that how can you be more specific rather than you can be more generic. So what to write is another very important thing, right? So be very careful. What to write is something which will make you surpass 50. So if you want to surpass 50, then what to write will be something very, very essential. Then how much time to write each question? How much time to write each question? That itself is something I portrayed today. So I told you that how will you break the time in the exam hall, right? Because breaking the time in the exam hall is very, very important. And the golden sentence or the golden rule is not one question will make you pass P7, right? So don't overspend. This has been something I think I've repeated many times across the session today. Don't overspend time on one question. Don't overspend time on one question, because that one will not make you pass. Believe every question contributes. Believe every question contribute. Give proper time to every question. Give proper time to every question. If you think the question is incomplete, put a full stop and continue. Don't run and don't rush after completing one question, right? So that has been my selling point, right? So be very specific to that, and be very clear to that, right? So I hope this session had been effective for you, and the session must have been fruitful for you, right? So I wish you best of luck for your June 2018 exams, uh, and I hope you will come out with success in the June 2018 exam. And that's exactly my objective and motive of this Practice to Pass session. It was nice meeting you. Thank you, and Allah Hafiz.